you, Jordan. Ralph, you referenced the Tottenham win, the Manchester City draw, and in the first part of the season, there were also some good results. I think another draw against Man United. What is it that playing the big teams seems to suit your side better? Is it the fact that they're a bit happier to have the ball and that lets you press them, or?
Meanwhile, when you reduce our game to the game against the ball, I think you don't do us right. So you don't really be honest with what you have seen in the past. Now, I think we have also shown with the ball that we have the tools to stress them, and this is what you need to have. We were always speaking about that against the top teams. You need to have, not always like 52% possession like we had on Wednesday against Tottenham, but you need a lot. And if you have more than 40%, I think it's a bigger chance to take something against them, because only playing against the ball is not enough.
I was actually going to come on to how your team have developed on the ball. I think that was evident again against Tottenham in the second half, especially where James Ward-Prowse was getting into those pockets. How long has it taken for you to get to that part where your team are now so effective on the ball as well as they are off it?
3 years since I'm here. Yeah. It takes every day to develop, every day to work on deficits you have, every day to look on the best, how they do it, and to have their own ideas what you can do better. And yeah, this is the thing of this job. You have to be acribic working on this part, and then hopefully at one point develop the players either so good that you can do what you want to do, or this is the easier, maybe a little bit shorter way, but the more expensive one, buy fantastic players. They have this automatically, and then it goes a little bit quicker. But because of our limits we have, this is not the way that is possible for us. So we go the other way. It takes a little bit longer, but even more enjoyable when it works then at one time.
Thank you, Ralph.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, Tom Barkley.
Hi, Ralph.
Hello.
You're a pretty experienced manager now and have a lot of responsibilities beyond just being a coach at Southampton. But perhaps when you first went to Leipzig under Ralph, maybe not quite as experienced in lots of other parts of the game beyond just coaching. I've heard some interesting stories about Rangnick's approach to dealing with players at Leipzig, from checking players' driver's licenses when coming into the ground. I don't know if you remember any of this, or even testing players' blood ahead of coming into training to check for muscle injuries. It sort of suggests sort of quite an interesting, different way of analysis when it comes to players. My question is, what did you learn from him when it comes to recruiting players and just dealing with them generally?
Yeah, I must say that we at Leipzig we had a lot of things what other clubs didn't do. We turned every stone around and tried everything, I think, because this was the only chance for us at that time when we were promoting team in the Bundesliga to become second in the end. And this is one way to go. I think for you as a manager, it's very important to learn things, to see it. Does it work, or is it too much, or do you need this in the future? And if not, leave it away. But it's important to one time see it and one time try it. I think always open-minded for new things. This is what I pray here also in the club. We are always listening to new things. And then it's important thing. The good decisions are the things when you are really think about it, listen to all the arguments, and then if it makes sense, to do it. And if it only costs you energy and disrupts more than it brings, then leave it away. But this is the way we are working, and you should work always in a leading position as a manager. And it's always good when you, in your way, when you develop your managing talent, that you learn everything. And I think I had, because I was coming from the very lower leagues, I've seen a lot of things in football, and everything I have learned there helps me today in my job to find the right decisions in the right moments. And about successful times, very often successful times, not so often the not successful ones, but I've learned from both, and this is how it should be.
There's also been quite a lot written about your time at Leipzig when working under Ralph Rangnick, and perhaps tensions in the second half of the season, the second season, and obviously you left with 12 months to go on your contract. But it sounds like you guys sort of get on quite well now, and he sort of wished you good luck when you came to Southampton. Just time passes. How do you reflect on how your time went at Leipzig working with Rangnick?
It was very successful time, especially the first year. The second year was very, very new for us. The lots of games with the Champions League, and so this was new for this club, and we all learned. Me too. But I had the feeling in the end, and this was the reason why I retired, that I have to go my own way then, and to develop my managing style even more. I think without being too, I don't want to say one-dimensional, but I had the feeling that there are more parts in the game that I want to develop, and it was not always that easy to do it in Leipzig. And especially in the second year, we had a few games where we tried to develop our game with the ball even more, and then we had a home game against Bayern Munich where we won 2-1, and afterwards there was speaking about not enough RB philosophy in this game. And this was some parts where I couldn't then agree, and then it was important for me to step out then and to go my own way and to learn other things also. And I'm happy that I did this decision, but I was also happy to be there for this time of my managing career, because I learned a lot there, and this was an important step in my managing career.
Sorry, just to clarify, after that Bayern Munich result, when you're saying there wasn't the Red Bull way, what was that suggested by Rangnick or people within the club?
No, people within the club. I mean, this is a long time ago, but we all had the feeling, me and my staff, that we need to make the next step then, because it was important for our development as a manager. There's more than only working against the ball. I think this was important for me to see, to learn. I was always reduced as a manager who was very good for pressing, but I knew that there's more to learn and more to have. And I think after the first year, where we got more and more dominant as a team in Leipzig, it was important to find solutions against deep defending teams also. And this was a long way, because this is the toughest part of the football game, I think. And to learn this, I think you need to be open-minded. You need to accept setbacks, to feel that in some games you don't find the right solutions, and that helps you to get better. And then finally, the game is getting more interesting for you.
Thank you, Ralph. Fascinating. Cheers.
Okay,
Nick Szczepanik.
Hi, Ralph.
Hello.
I guess there was a certain continuity when you took over from Ralph as first team coach and continued the success. And so the players were there to make that system work and make that. I mean, is it necessary? Does that plan only work if you have the right sort of players who are preparing, who are ready to work hard and buy into that scheme?
We were at that time a promoting team, and with a very good automatism, and so I tried to leave the train running and don't change too much when I was coming there. And the players were perfect in the shape. We had a lot of speed in every position. We were good against the ball. We had in the first year always the situation that we were the underdog, the promoting team, and going everywhere and playing our very intense, quick transition football that worked fantastic in the first year. In the second year, it was even tougher, because then they know you, and then it's always a little bit changing. But in the end, we had a super successful time. I mean, as a promoting team, immediately end up second in the league. I mean, this is what not a lot of teams in Europe or in the world do. So it was good.
Because you mentioned earlier about how you had to perhaps make some players or new players adjust this season after maybe losing some players. So you obviously see the other side where you have to bring in new players. I'm just kind of wondering whether Ralph would have had, a difficulty in suddenly bringing his methods to Manchester United when they were used to a different system.
Yeah, but I think as a manager, it's very important. I'm sure Ralph knows this, that you have to adapt your game to the players you have. It doesn't make sense if you want to play something what you obviously not have the players for. I mean, when I was coming here, I played a back five. I've never done it before in my career. So I had to do it because I had the feeling that in the back we had problems. We haven't been quick enough. And so you have to adapt what you need to do. And then with all the next transfer windows coming up, you can then change the team in the way you want to have it. And this is the reason, because I think a long-term project for a manager is then he can definitely put in his way of playing football, and this means that you have to change the team by step. In the Premier League, it's even harder because you need a lot of money if you want to change your team. When you want exactly play like this way. But sometimes it's also good when you cannot change it immediately. You have to learn something different, and then you see, this also works, and so this is the perfect shape for this team, and then you're also successful. Adapt to what you have. But I don't have to tell Ralph, he's a very experienced manager. He knows how this business is going, and he was always successful.
Is there a perfect sort of type of player to play that sort of system that you and Ralph like? Is a particular hard-working, energetic player, or can anyone be adapted to the system?
But tell me if there is any player in the Premier League who is not able to play an intensive, energetic football. If you think there is one who can do it and still compete in this league, I don't know any, to be honest, because everybody has to have it. This is a fundament, a basic, if you want. If you don't have this, no chance.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Ralph. Good luck.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, Dan Rose.
Afternoon, Ralph. You okay?
I'm okay, thank you.
Just switching focus back to your team and one of your players in particular. Moyo Yunusi, I think, got his 7th goal in all competitions when he scored at Spurs. I think he's only one behind Broja now in the goal scoring stakes for the club. Just going back to 2018, when you first worked with him, when you first came in, how different a player and how different a person is he from that time, since going on loan, coming back, and obviously getting back in and around things this season?
Yeah, I think this loan time definitely helped him to make the next step in his development. It was important for him to get game time there, what was always a problem here in the beginning. It's always tough when you are coming in a new team and then the team is not performing well and you are a little bit under the radar and don't get a chance to play a lot. So I think he needed this time, and we were always following him and looking how he developed his game. And it was for me in the summer a very clear decision to say I want him back in this team. And immediately in the preseason, I have seen that he can give me a lot what I want to have on this position. He is a smart player. He can score goals. He's running a lot. He covers a lot of distance. He's disciplined in the defense. He's a quick learner, and he learned to be more resilient in the Premier League. This is what you have to be, because it is tough and it is physically a tough league. And when you learn to do this, then the baggage is a good one. And I think meanwhile, he showed that he is a good baggage.
I know when obviously new signings come in, you've spoken to us before about how they get a big dossier of information and you sit down, have a chat with them, go through it and everything like that. Did you almost have to do that with Moy when he first came back and you made that decision that he was going to be part of your squad this season? Did you almost have to sort of almost treat him like a new signing coming back in?
Yeah, I mean, with the videos, we try to we had also developed our game since he was left. So I think it was important for him to see on what level we are now and what we are demanding on this position, and therefore our playbook was helpful, and we definitely used this for every new player when he was coming in to bring him on the same knowledge like the others are. But in the end, it's up to him to adapt to the intenser game, to the more energetic way of playing football, like we try to do it. But he had all the basics, all the tools you need to have, and this is the result is that he plays a good season so far.
And one more, if I may, just very quickly, just on the team news, because I don't think no one's asked it yet. What's the latest? I believe Nathan Redmond had an ankle knock. I think obviously Tino Livramento was left out midweek. What's the latest on those?
Yes, I mean, Reddy is still out, but Tino is back in the team and is an option for tomorrow. So we will have a look about the numbers of rotation, what we want to do possible. Have a good alternatives on some positions, and it's up to me to find the right decision.
I presume, just for clarity, he was rested midweek, Tino, was he? He hasn't picked up anything else?
Yeah. Exactly.
Thanks, Rob.
For the long-term injury, it was important after the first 90 minutes not to push him too hard.
Perfect. Thanks for your time, Ralph.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, Robert Warlow.
Hello, how are you?
Hey.
You talked there about Tino being back. Obviously, that gives you a decision to make with how well Kyle Walker-Peters has done at right back and Romain Perraud as well at left back. I just wanted to ask you about Romain Perraud, because he's had a bit of a run in the side recently, and it seems to be clicking for him at the moment. He seems to be sort of relishing that role and getting forward from left back. Are you seeing what you wanted to see now from him when you signed him?
I have seen from the beginning what I wanted to see. I was very clear that he will not immediately step in here and play immediately at the highest level. Therefore, our game is sometimes a little bit too different and demanding what we have with our ball-oriented defending. You have to learn this, and this is not something you learn from one day to the next. So it takes a little bit. But as always, when new players are coming in, we like to give them the time to develop, don't stress them. Sometimes they stress themselves a little bit more because they have not the patience to wait until they get the chance. They want to play immediately, and this is understandable. Everybody wants this, but we had examples where some players were waiting 3/4 of a season to get their first chance to play. So Sali, for example, and now he's a top centre back for us. So this is not a problem. But he learned quick, and meanwhile he's a good player on this position, and he will get even better in the future, I'm sure.
And how impressed have you been with his attitude when he hasn't been playing? Because I understand he's done a lot of work himself in terms of a personal trainer to get himself fit and up to speed in the Premier League.
He acted how you should, calm, wait for the moment, train hard, show up in every session, that you know what you have to do, wait for the right moment, and then when you get the chance, grab it with both hands and play well.
I want to ask you as well, you've spoken before about the sort of complications of playing a 3-game week with midweek fixtures, and obviously at Christmas time you spoke about the fact that you had you sat the team down and had a plan for those 2 games in a short space of time. Given the quick turnaround here, have you had to do similar for the games between Tottenham and Man United? Have you got separate plans you've had to work through?
Yeah, we were thinking about the whole week like always, and the difference was only that we started with a cup game, and then we had two league games. But in the end, you always have all 3 games in your mind before you have another normal week. Now next week, then it's a little bit easier. But yes, you have all games in your mind, and you know in the beginning of the week what you want to do in the end of the week. So this is normally the way, but very often things are changing because of injuries or some other things. What you want to change, maybe a different shape suddenly in your mind. So yeah, there are a lot of facts that are in your minds, what you think about.
Did it help in a way that you obviously made the 10 changes for the cup game, 10 changes again in midweek? Did that help that you were able to rotate the squad for that first one of the 3?
Definitely, yes, that was the goal. Massively helped us in our game, in both games. Otherwise, we wouldn't have won, I think. And especially on Wednesday, in the end, the last 15 minutes, we had, I think, a little bit more punch, and that was the reason why we turned things around and had this amazing win.